Hello students. So now I'm going to continue with the second part of Act 3 Scene 2. So till now we have done that Selenio and Celerino, both of them, they were talking about Antonio's shipwreck, and they pray that this was the last loss of Antonio, where Shylock enters and Selenio asks Shylock if he has got some news among the merchants. Then Shylock replies, "You knew none so well as you, of my daughter's flight." So, though Salenio was asking about Antonio's losses among the merchants, Shylock replied that his daughter has run away. He thought that they are asking about his daughter. So Shylock replies, "You knew none so well." You knew none so well means there is no one else except you who knew about my daughter's flight. My daughter's flight means the elopement of my daughter. Like my daughter has eloped with Lorenzo, and you people are aware about that. Celerino, that's certain. I, for my part, knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal. So Celerino replies that that's certain. He says that is true. That certain means that is true. I for my part means as far as I am concerned, knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal. So he says, as far as I am concerned, I know the tailor who had made the wings with which she flew. She here refers to Jessica. The wings using which the girl flew. Jessica flew. That means Jessica eloped. Celerino. And Shylock, for his own part, knew the bird was fledged, and then it is the complexion of them all to leave the dam. Then Celenio says that, and Shylock for his own part. And then, as far as Shylock is concerned, Shylock knew that the bird was fleshed. The bird was fleshed means the bird has grown up, the bird has grown feathers on the wings, and then it is the complexion of them. Complexion means it is nature of them, nature of these kind of grown up birds, that they will leave the dam, they will leave their mother, or they will leave their parents' house. That means the grown up daughters, the grown up girls, they leave their parents' house and they go to their in laws once they grow. Shylock, she is damned for it. So Shylock says that she here, Shylock is referring to Jessica, and he says she is damned for it. My daughter would be cursed for it. The word damned means she will go to hell for this, for eloping with a Christian. Celerino, that's certain if the devil may be her judge. Celerino says, yes, that is true. Your daughter Jessica will go to hell if the devil judges her conduct, if her conduct is judged by the devil. So here Celerino is making a tongue in the cheek remark, and he is he is alleging, or he is making a remark on Shylock, that Shylock is a devil, and if Shylock judges if Shylock judges Jessica, then obviously she will go to hell. Shylock, my own flesh and blood to rebel. So Shylock says that my own flesh and blood has rebelled. Rebelled means my own flesh and blood has revolted against me, has turned against me. Salerino, there is more difference between thy flesh and hers than between jet and ivory. Then Salerino says that there is more difference, like you both are different. Though Jessica is your daughter, but you both are different. He says, there is more difference between thy flesh and hers. Thy means yours, flesh and hers. So there is more difference between your flesh and her flesh. So here flesh refers to, you can say, the nature and temperament. So both you and your daughter are absolutely different in nature than between jet and ivory. As there is difference between jet and ivory, jet means black and ivory is white. So as there is difference between a white and a black color, in the same manner there is difference between your flesh and your daughter's flesh. Both of you have different temperaments. More between your bloods than there is between red wine and Rhenish. And then he says that as there is difference between your blood and difference between your daughter's blood, then he compares the difference between Shylock's daughter's blood and Shylock's blood, and compares them with red wine and Rhenish. So red wine is a cheap wine and Rhenish is a white expensive wine. So he says, as there is difference between the cheap red wine and the Rhenish, which is expensive wine, in the same manner there is difference between your blood and your daughter's blood. But tell us, do you hear whether Antonio have had any loss at sea or no? Then Salarino asks Shylock, but tell us, have you heard about Antonio's losses in the sea? Then Shylock replies, there, I have another bad match. So Shylock says that in that case means in Antonio's case, I have another bad bargain, like I have another bad transaction. Bad match here refers to another bad transaction. A bankrupt, a prodigal who dare scare show his head on the Rialto. He refers to Antonio and says that Antonio is a bankrupt, and bankrupt means a person who is ruined in terms of money. So Antonio has been ruined in terms of money, and he was a prodigal. Prodigal means a spendthrift who spends his money lavishly. So he says Antonio is a bankrupt. He has become a bankrupt and he is a prodigal also, who dare scare show his head on the Rialto. Like who means Antonio. He will not have the courage. Dare scare show means he will not have the courage to show his head, to show his face on the Rialto. Rialto means Venetian Stock Exchange. So Antonio will not have the courage to show his face at the Rialto now. A beggar that used to come so smug upon the mart. Then Shylock refers Antonio as a beggar and says that he is a beggar. That means who used to come means who used to come to smug upon the mart. To smug upon the mart means he used to come like he is a self-satisfied person. Upon the mart here refers to the market. So Shylock says Antonio used to come to the market as if he is a self-satisfied man. Let him look to his bond. So he says, let him here refers to Antonio. He says, let him look to his bond, the bond which he has entered with me. He was wont to call me Usharar. Then he says that he was wont to call me. He means Antonio. Wont means he was in the habit of calling me an assurer. Assurer means a person who lends a money at unfair rate of interest, like who charges a more rate of interest for lending money. So Shylock says Antonio used to call me an assurer. Now he should look to his bond. Let him look to his bond. He was wont to lend money for a Christian courtesy. And then he says that he was wont to means he was in the habit of lending money for Christian courtesy, for showing a Christian courtesy, for showing Christian kindness. Let him look to his bond. So now Shylock says Antonio, who used to lend money without interest for showing Christian courtesy, let him look to his bond. Celerino, why, I am sure if we forfeit, thou wilt not take his flesh. What's that good for? So Celerino says that, why, I am sure, Celerino says, I am very much sure that if he forfeit, he here refers to Antonio. Forfeit means if he fails to return your money, if he fails to pay the money back. Thou means you. You wilt not. Wilt means will. You will not take his flesh. What's that good for? What's that good for means what is the use of that? So Celerino says that I am very much sure that if Antonio fails to return your money, then you will not take his flesh because that is of no use to you. Shylock replies, to bait fish withal. Shylock says, I will use that pound of flesh of Antonio's to bait fish, to catch fish. To bait fish means to catch fish with that flesh. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. Shylock says, if that pound of flesh will not feed anything, it will feed nothing means if it is of no use to me, at least it will satisfy my revenge. Feed my revenge means it will satisfy my revenge. He hath disgraced me and hindered me 500,000. So he says he means Antonio. Antonio had disgraced me. Antonio has insulted me and he had hindered me 500,000. He has hindered me 500,000 means he has prevented me. Hindered here refers to prevented me with my business, prevented me from earning 500,000 money, 500,000 ducats. laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains. He had made fun of my losses and he had made fun of my profits. Scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, schooled my friends, hated my enemies. So Shylock says that Antonio has scorned my nation. So the word scorned means he has abused my nation. Nation here refers to the Jewish community. So he has abused my Jewish community, thwarted my bargains, and he has thwarted my bargains. Thwarted means he has interfered in my business. Cooled my friends, heated mine enemies, and he has cooled my friends. He has lessened my friends, and he has increased my enemies. And what's his reason? And then Shylock says why he has done like that, why Antonio has been doing like this. Now he himself gives the reasons. Now the dialogue where Shylock has been talking about humanity starts. So Shylock says, I am a Jew. So Shylock, in Shylock's view, Antonio has been doing all this because Shylock is a Jew. Then he says, hath not a Jew eyes? Have a Jew not Jews not eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? Then he says, if the Jews are not having all the body parts, they don't have hands, they don't have other body organs, they don't have any dimensions, they don't have limbs, they don't have any passion, they don't have feelings, they don't have emotions, fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as the Christian is. Then Shylock says, like a Christian, a Jew, he is hurt by the same weapon. Like if he is fed by the same food, he eats fed by the same food means he eats the same food. A Jew eats the same food as a Christian, hurt by the same weapons. And as a Christian will be hurt, the Jew also gets hurt with the same weapon, subject to the same diseases, and all the diseases which a Christian find himself inflicted with, the same diseases the Jews also find them inflicted. Healed by the same means. Healed by the same means they get cured by the same medicine. Whatever diseases a Christian suffers, the same diseases a Jew also suffer. And with whatever medicine the Christians get healed, the Jews also get healed by the same medicine. Cooled by the same winter, warmed and cooled by the same winter. And he says the winter which cools a Christian, the same winter cools the Jew, and the summer which warms a Christian, the same summer warms the Jew also. As a Christian is like a Christian, the Jews also have the same feelings. If you prick us, do we not bleed? And then he asks, like, if you prick our body, if you make an incision in our body, do we not bleed? Does the blood not come out? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? So if you tickle our body, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? Then he asks Salarino and Selenio, if you give us poison, do we not die? Like he says, obviously we will die. If a Christian dies of poison, a Jew will also die of poison. And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? And then he says, if you do something wrong to us, shall we not take revenge from you? If we are alike you in the rest, we will resemble you in that. He says, if we are all alike, if the Jews and the Christians are alike, if they are same, then we will be same in this also. We will resemble you in that means we will be the same in taking revenge from you. If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? And then he asks them, like if a Jew does something wrong to a Christian, then what would be his humility? What would be his humility means what would be his attitude? How a Christian would react if a Jew wrongs a Christian. If a Jew does something wrong to a Christian, what is his humility means what would be his attitude? He says, then he himself answers and says, revenge. Obviously, if a Jew does something wrong to a Christian, the Christian will take revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? And then he asks the Salarino and Salenio that if a Christian does something wrong to a Jew, if a Christian wrong a Jew means if a Christian does a wrong to a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? Then what should be the attitude? Sufferance means what should be the attitude of a Jew taking the Christian example? Then he himself replies, why revenge? He says, obviously, why the Jews will also take revenge. The villainy you teach me, I will execute. He says, whatever villainy means whatever wrong attitude you will teach me. You means the Christians will teach me, I will execute. I will execute means we will follow the same. Means Shylock wants to say that whatever the Jews will be taught by the Christians, the Jews will follow the same. And it shall go hard, but I will better the instruction. He says, and it will go hard. It will go hard means it will be strange if I will not improve upon whatever I have learned from you. Enter a servant, and then a servant enters the stage.